Well, kind of like what we're seeing on the Missouri side of the state line, it's also happening in Kansas in a very different way. And that is counties pushing a narrative for tax subsidies involving the state. Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute, joins us on KCMO Talk Radio. Dave, good morning. Always great to have you on. What is the beef right now between counties in Kansas and the state?
Oh, good morning, Pete. Thanks for having me. Well, the counties want the legislature to send them over $100 million for theoretical property tax relief. They're saying, look, if you give us this money, we'll use it to reduce property taxes. Well, they used to do that, and they stopped doing it in 2003 because it wasn't working. We had the last 5 years that this program was funded, had the average county property tax increase was 7.6%. Now, the 5-year average is 3.9. I mean, we had some of our highest property tax increases while they were getting money theoretically to reduce taxes. They just took the money and put it in the bank.
So the last 5 years of the state giving counties monies to supposedly keep property taxes low, property taxes were going up 7.6% in those counties in the state of Kansas.
That's the average for all counties in the state of Kansas.
That's okay. And then the last 5 years, the average jump has been 3.9%.
Right.
But the counties are claiming that they need this money from the state to keep property taxes down. What it really sounds like to me is that they just want more money.
It is. They just want more money, and they're not letting even the truth get in the way. They're claiming that the legislature is breaking the law. There's a presentation they gave to county commissioners where they said the legislature is illegally withholding. Well, that's nonsense. It says right in the statute that no transfers will be made in these years. Now, sure, the idea of this, it's called local ad valorem tax reduction, LAVTR. The idea is still in the law where it says they'll make these transfers. Mm-hmm. But periodically over the last 20 years, the legislature has gone in and said, well, except these years. So they're not breaking the law. They're amending it as they're allowed to. The other option is they could just take the law out immediately. That would cause another firestorm. But that's a political discussion that probably should be had. But bottom line, they are not breaking the law. They are allowed to do that if they get the majority votes and change the law.
Well, I mean, here's the other thing, too. You look at specifically here, let's say Johnson County, right? I mean, they have seen massive increases in spending on a per-resident basis. So you guys wrote about that. And Johnson County is right now sitting on a $234 million cash reserve. And the county, I imagine Johnson County is helping lead the way on this. The county has the audacity to say to the state, give us more?
Yeah, well, and that's not all the money. That $234 million is just in the general fund. They have other reserves to buy assets and do other projects. But that $234 million can be used for whatever they choose. And they choose to basically they put several years of tax hike in the bank.
Yeah.
That's over $100 million increase since 2017. I mean, it's just nonsense. They say, well, we have to do this. I'm sorry, lady, you might have to sell your house. You can't afford to live there, but we have to raise taxes. And then you see their cash reserves go up. It's just nonsense. They won't even tell the truth.
The county, you've got cities doing this as well, but I mean, we'll focus on counties because that's what this story is about. What is the answer here? I mean, is there something that people should be doing, reaching out to their counties, their state legislators, or is this something where the state's not going to budge? I mean, no matter what Laura Kelly wants to do, the state's not going to budge, so it's really a moot point. The state just has to stand firm and basically say to these counties, sorry, you're not getting more.
Well, citizens could do two things. They could contact their county commissioners and say, how about telling us the truth? Start spending our money wisely. And they should contact legislators and say, don't give in to this dirty trick of saying you're illegally withholding money. Just don't do it. They don't need it. It didn't work, and just ignore that. So it's. I mean, you're right. I mean, the counties and the cities, there's never going to be enough. They're always asking for more, and they never will look at their own spending to see how they could provide the same quality service at a better price. It certainly can be done. Right off the top, a lot of them can just draw down cash reserves while they're figuring out how to operate more efficiently. It can be done. Do what you're asking taxpayers to do. That's what happens when you put a tax increase on people in inflationary times like this. It's especially worse.
Yeah.
They have to adjust their budgets so that the government officials don't have to.
Yeah. Yes. That's exactly. You're right. I mean, the average citizen in Johnson County that's seeing a property tax increase is going to have to readjust their budget to make sure that the bureaucrats are fully funded.
That's right.
Unbelievable. Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute, is on KCMO Talk Radio. And, here's the thing, Dave, too. I mean, we're living in these times, as we've talked about before with you, where home values are continuing to skyrocket. And I don't want to be a pessimist, but I will be one here for a second and suggest that as home values continue to rise, they can get more money. They can soak the homeowner a little bit more every year or two. And that allows more money to flow into their coffers while continuing to artificially drive up the values of these homes by not building enough single-family homes as well, which they're really not encouraging, because all I see being built around this county are multifamily.
Yeah, and a lot of that's done with subsidies.
Yeah.
Which is, it's taking money from taxpayers to give it to people to build apartment complexes. But, I will say there are a handful of counties around the state that are holding down taxes. There have been a few, like Reno County, that chose not to increase property taxes. Most of them are going the other way, and that needs to stop. Mm-hmm. Property taxes are actually, think about this. They talk about the need for more affordable housing while they're making housing more expensive with higher taxes and more regulations. Yes.
And God bless Reno County. I don't know how they do it, though. I mean, Reno County is 61,000 people, right? I mean, that's, a third of the size of Overland Park.
Well, it's the same way. Actually, Pete, over half of the taxing authorities in Kansas are choosing not to raise property taxes next year. That's results from the revenue neutral rate hearings. 56% of local taxing authorities in Kansas said, no, we will not take in more property tax revenue. It can be done. Mm-hmm. A lot of those are smaller ones. Some of them are bigger ones. It can be done. It's just a matter of whether the elected officials will make the staff go through the budget, do the hard work, and find where the money is being spent unnecessarily.
And don't forget, too, I got mine a few weeks ago. Thanks to state lawmakers, you should get a letter in the mail that says how much the proposed increase is in tax revenues from your county and your city and your school board, right?
Right. And that process is working. It's brought more people out to protest their taxes. It's put pressure on. Just last week, the Lansing School District held their hearing, and after listening to the taxpayers, one of the board members changed their vote, and so by a vote of 4-3, they are not raising property tax next year.
That's great. I got mine in the mail a few weeks ago, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. Dave Trabert doing great work with the Kansas Policy Institute. Dave, always great to have you on, my friend. Have a great week.
Thanks, Pete. You too.